Audio recorded by Sybil Mann Baylor on June 10, 2023, for educational sharing in Flor de Auro. International University of Peace UNIPAZPARANABNSE Society of Education and Computing SPI Specialization in Advanced Studies in Transpersonal Psychology. Possible dialogues between transpersonal and millennial psychology. Chinese Internal Alchemy. First steps of a Taoist psychology. DIALOGS Frozes. Porto Alegre. 2014. International University of Peace UNIPAZPARANABNSE Society of Education and Computing SPI Specialization in Advanced Studies in Transpersonal Psychology. Possible dialogues between transpersonal and millennial psychology. Chinese Internal Alchemy. First steps of a Taoist psychology. The circumstance of destruction is not bad in itself. It is simply part of the destiny. Just as there is birth or creation, it is also natural death or destruction exists because, in the universe, the two forces act in a simultaneous. But as human beings find it difficult to get used to the idea of death, the circumstance of destruction comes to be seen as misfortune. It gets worse when people sense that change can be collective and then begin to question, trying to guess if they and their family will be affected and will be within of that circumstance. With that, the destruction, over thousands of years of culture of the world, came to be considered a misfortune. But this concept rests on a flat, rushed and superficial reading of what is written in the stanza, which raises a more constructive understanding. For a virtuous person, the path of creation can be represented by the verb to float, which means to go forward in life, harmonizing with your destiny. And the path of destruction can be represented by the verb to reverse, which means to go backwards towards its origin, or deo. The path of creation is linked to the creative cycle, in which wood generates fire, fire generates earth and so on, until the end of a person's life. The path of destruction is linked to the cycle of control, whose peak of realization, in the aspect of destroying the subtractives that bind a person's spirit to the wheel of transmigration, is the image of the 5 snakes that swallow each other simultaneously. This is the symbol of the destruction of the structure of the universe, for the person who reached that level. Therefore, the mystical sense of the circumstance of destruction is within reach of the design of fullness, or spiritual realization of those who seeks the immortality of the spirit. Wu Yi Church, 2008. Yin Fu Qing, Treatise on the Occult Union of Huang Dai, the Yellow Emperor. Audio recorded by Sybil Mann Baylor on January 9, 2023, for educational sharing. Summary: Taoism is a philosophical spiritual tradition that was born in China probably 4,700 years ago, through the work of the Yellow Emperor, Qixing Huangdi. The most famous works of Taoist canon are the Tao Te Ching of Lao Tzu, the I Ching of Fu Xi, the Yi Fu Qing and the Nirbai Huangdi's Jing Su Wen, in addition to Chu Hangzi's Nan Hua Qing. The main practices Taoists are meditation, Kaikun, internal martial arts such as Tai Chi Chuan, Pa Kwa Chong and the Xinghai Chuan, which are part of internal alchemy, or Ni-I-Jing. Just like the approach of transpersonal psychology can favor, and indeed favors, the understanding of the Taoism for us Westerners, several insights from internal alchemy can broaden the conceptual range and practice of transpersonally oriented psychotherapy. The purpose of this study is, therefore, to conceptually present and develop the first insights derived from a Taoist internal alchemy that can broaden the conceptual range and practice of psychotherapy of transpersonal orientation. For this, a bibliographical research was carried out, with conceptual survey and subsequent analysis that allowed uniting, in a single model, the notion of holotropic and holotropic states, evolution and involution of consciousness, theory of the five movements, archetypal phases, perinatal, developmental matrices and quadrants of reality. The dialogue between transpersonal psychology and Taoism reveals that the various dimensions of the patient can be correlated in a complete pattern from the perception of how the elements are affecting your health, relationships, goals, dreams and more. Keywords: transpersonal psychology, Taoism, inner alchemy, meditation, Kaikun. Summary: 1. Introduction 7. 2. The development of human consciousness 9. 2.1 Stage of Wu Kai 15. 2.2 Yang Stage 21. 2.3 Year Stage 22. 2.4 Stage Tai Kai 23. 2.5 Second Stage Wu Kai 23. 3. Taoist practices in transpersonal psychotherapy 24. 3.1 Scaling of holotropic breathwork facilitator interventions 24. 3.2 Broadening the horizons of the transpersonal psychotherapist 26. 3.3 Taoist interpretation of dreams 27. For the dialogue between transpersonal psychology and the ancient Chinese internal alchemy 29. References 33. Possible dialogues between transpersonal and millennial psychology Chinese internal alchemy. The first steps of a Taoist psychology Tiago Oviedo Froza 1-1. Introduction. Taoism is a philosophical spiritual tradition that was born in China probably 4,700 years or more, if we consider the matriarchal period in which the Chinese shamanism, commanded by the Wu priestesses through the work of the Emperor Yellow, Qixing Huangdi wrote about medicine, politics, militarism, architecture and spirituality, being the kind of mythical patriarch of ancient Chinese culture. The best-known works of the Taoist canon, which comprises over 1,500 books, are the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu, Classic of the Way and Virtue, Fu Shizai Ching, Classic of Changes, Huangdi's Yu Fu Ching and Ni I Jing Su Wen, Classic of Occult Union, and Yellow Emperor's Handbook of Internal Medicine, as well as Chu Hangzi's Nan Hua Ching Fleur du Sol Classic. The main Taoist practices are meditation, Kaikun cultivation, bioenergetic 3, the internal martial arts or Ni-I-Jil such as Tai Kai Chuan, Pa Kwa Chong and the Xinghai Chuan, which are part of internal alchemy, or Ni-I-Kung/Ni-I-Jing/Ni-I-Dang. The Taoism was seen for a long time solely as a philosophy by Westerners, who were unaware of the breadth and depth of their religious development after the expansion of the teachings of Lao Tzu 1999. The Taoist tradition is branched, in fact, in many schools of knowledge, the main ones being the Chinese Changyi Order, Unitarian Orthodox Chuanshan Order of Absolute Reality, and Maoshan Order of the Reed of the Mountain, in addition to the Japanese Onmyoto Path of Polarities, Shugendo Path of Power through Asceticism, and Suika Shinto Path of the Incarnate Gods, and the Korean Koksundu Path of the Hermit. In each of them, certain alchemical concepts have slight differences, especially in astrological conceptions. Even so, they give us the general picture of how this tradition developed in the cultures of the Far East. Page note: 1 Master in Human Movement Sciences, Bachelor in Physical Education, Teacher of Karate Do Shotokan 2nd Dan and Tai Chi Chuan and Kaiken Instructor, Facilitator of the Warriors of the Heart Movement, Facilitator of Therapies with Expanded States of Consciousness, Apprentice and Focuser of the XII class of Advanced Studies in Universal Transpersonal Psychology. 2 As Blofeld 1986 warns us. 3 The word Kai Kung is formed by Kai vital energy and Kung prolonged training, or cultivation, refers to idea of practices with which, over a long period of time, we restore bodily, emotional, mental and spiritual, storing in us the energies of the earth space, places of the cosmos, the human plane, life and of the sky time, all the archetypal multiplicity that governs the vital rhythms. The aim of Kai Kung is to cultivate internal energy and learn not to lose Kai to the external environment, thus achieving health and longevity, flowing with the Tao through natural cycles. End of page note. Just as the approach of transpersonal psychology can favor, and indeed favors, the understanding of Taoism by us Westerners, several insights from the Internal Alchemy can broaden the conceptual range and practice of orientation psychotherapy transpersonal. It is also curious the fact that there is no material developed about the relationship between Taoism, Tai Chi Chuan or Kai Kung and transpersonal psychology among the themes of completion of courseworks of the Advanced Studies in Transpersonal Psychology course from Unipaxal, despite having a good number of publications approaching psychotherapy and the psychology of the Tao, which also justifies this study. Since the publication of the Tao of Physics by Firha Capra, which ended up becoming a world bestseller, several authors decided to explore the relationship between Taoism and other knowledge areas. Although some incursions were not so successful, we also had a great literature produced approaching the dialogue between the Tao and the psychology. Among the main titles in this segment are the books that relate Taoism and the analytical psychology of Carl Jung as The Tao and Psychology PLOISC, 2000 Uniting the Heaven and Earth COLEGRABE, 1992 and Door to All Wonders Chia Huan, 2004. We also recall here the article by Coward 1996 who argues that the background of Jungian psychology is Taoism. The author argues that key concepts such as synchronicity, shadow, circumambulation and self were extracted by Jung directly from the Taoism, understanding that similar ideas were not produced by other traditions. And there is also the book Tiny Isuza entitled Psychotherapy e Taoismo 2007, which makes a dialogue between the Tao and the psychology of Jackson. Despite being cited several times by main authors of transpersonal psychology, such as Crawford 2000 and Wilbur 2010, 1995, there seems to be a study dedicated to the specific dialogue between these two lines of thought. The direct approach to Chinese Taoism occurred in the publication of Jung and Wilhelm titled The Secret of the Golden Flower, where they brought together knowledge of two different Taoist lineages. First they present the Tai I Chin Hua Tsung Kai, or treatise on golden flower, and then a fragment of the Wei Ming Qing, the treatise on wisdom and life. as 1999, page 12 warns us. Wilhelm's translation was based on an incomplete text of the Wei Ming Qing. The comments were missing and the most important part, the illustrations. Besides, the Wilhelm Payne's translation of the book was profoundly influenced by the Jungian psychology, thus not being in accordance with the Taoist spiritual perspective. Not only were the historical and philosophical connections of the Wei Ming Qing with its main influences, the absolute reality school of Taoism, Chan Zen and Huayan Buddhism, just as the teachings of the Wulya sect, which form the spiritual basis of the Wei Ming Qing. There is, therefore, knowledge produced in the West that can be updated, taking into account since in the present period there is a vast literature produced by Western scholars who lived in China, and of Chinese scholars who came to the West and became familiar with our culture. This current context and the state of the art of literature allow us to understanding that was not possible in the near past and generated criticism such as that of one cited above. In addition, there is the fact that Chinese alchemy as a practice has been available to Westerners for about 30 years, through the hands and work of masters such as Mantak Chia, Liu Pailan, Siva Wan and others. This recent development allows that we connect more fully to a knowledge of humanity that although involved theory, it is essentially practical. The objective of this study is, therefore, to present and conceptually develop the first insights from Taoist internal alchemy that can broaden the conceptual range and the practice of transpersonal psychotherapy. To this end, a survey was carried out literature, with a conceptual survey and subsequent analysis that allowed uniting, in a single model, the notion of holotropic 4 and holotropic 5 states, evolution and involution of consciousness, 5 movement theory, archetypal phases, perinatal matrices, development and quadrants of reality. Conceptually understanding the dance between Chinese alchemy and transpersonal psychology, we will be able to give a better understanding of the performance of the therapist or psychotherapist who be guided by the Taoist side, as someone who accepts the patient who comes to him as part of his own way, who works with the patient as long as his approach is effective to make it develop, and who seeks to lead others and be led to the state every time closer to the natural flow, thus joining the Tao Suza. 2007. Audio recorded by Sybil Mann Baylor on January 9, 2023, for educational sharing. To the development of human consciousness. Taoist philosophy has a very particular approach to the origin of all existence, the universe and all things. This very old concept has been passed down for millennia within the Tao family of the Tao, the Taoist religion, through a series of teachings. The general idea of fall, as explained by Wilbur Wheaton, fall or rise, 2010, can be summarized in Type-ITU map of the Most High, Figure 1. Page note, for from the Greek holos totality and tripine towards. It is the movement of consciousness from the densest to the lowest. Subtle, what Amit Goswami called downward causality, and in Chinese medicine and internal alchemy is related to the mutation of energy from kite vital energy to Shen spirit. 5. The inverse of holotropic holos is the term that designates the dense being, the movement of the consciousness of the most subtle to dense. Amit Goswami relates it to bottom-up causality. Chinese internal alchemy, forgetfulness and stagnation in the consciousness of Po based on Jing, the energy of essence. which governs the fluids sex and blood. End of page note. Wu Kai. The first circle represents the void. Metacosmic primordial activity. Yang. Tranquility. Yin. Tai Kai. The second circle represents the Tao. Manifested, formed by the polarities of clarity, in white yang and from obscurity, in black yin. Fire. Wood. Water. Metal. Wuxing. The figure with 5 smaller circles and lines who seek to demonstrate their relationships represents the 5 movements, archetypal rules observed in the entire Tao and understood by the ancient sages, comparing them to natural elements: wood, fire, earth, metal and water. The weight of Tian heaven if turns into masculine. The weight of Kun earth if turns into female. The weight of heaven and earth. The third circle represents the infinity of the platform of destiny, which leads to one of the 6 paths, the 6 most general possibilities, or worlds, where it is possible to reincarnate, becoming closer to the divine heaven or the physical earth. The world of 10,000 things. The fourth circle represents the infinity of manifestations of reality, shared material. Figure 1. Tai Kai Tu. The map of the creation of the world of 10,000 things from Wu Kai, or unmanifest Tao. Generation and transformation of the 10,000 beings. Page notes. 6. This version of the emergence of the universe inspired the solution of the primordial quantum wave collapse problem that creates the cosmos, formulated by Amit Goswami to correct the paradox of this theme within the theory of quantum mechanics, presented in the book Creative Evolution of Species. 2009. 7. Clarity and obscurity are the complementary opposites that allow us to know the world, or the Tao manifested. As the poet said, there would be no sound if there was no silence, and there would be no light if it were not for the darkness. Life is just like that. Day and night. No and yes. One day is bright and another dark. One is happy and another is sad. But the spiritual path is to live fully every day, even with the eternal movement between joys and sorrows. An ancient Chinese form of representation of holotropic movement. End of page notes. In this model, the primordial void, Wu Kai, the formless primal chaos, but it possesses all forms in potential. It stirs and manifests itself in the primordial circle, the highest, or Tai Kai 6. This circle then starts to move, generating the eternal opposites that make us aware of reality, the clarity Yang and the shadow Yin 7, which are in constant mutation, one becoming the other, in an eternal flux. Yin and Yang are present in the 3 pure, heaven or time, which divides into 12 terrestrial branches, earth or space, which divides into 10 celestial trunks, and man or life, which is divided into 8 qualitative energies. From clarity and obscurity, and from the 3 pure ones then arise the 5 movements, or 5 principles, 8 wuxing, which are the archetypal rules for all that exists in the manifested Tao Tai Kai, and that, when related, form the world of 10,000 things, the reality shared on the material level. That is, in a classification from the most subtle to the most dense, we have, from chaos primordial, the metacosmic void, arises the possibility of there being something manifest and capable of self-reference, which generates the first manifestation, which in turn collapses the waves of possibility movement and gives rise to everything that is manifest dense. At Taoist terminology, it is as if we can visualize aspects of the subtle and the metacosmic void and in the highest dimension of pure yin and yang. From the existence of polarities, 5 rules are established that govern how the polarities will present themselves, and to these 5 rules we call the 5 movements whooshing. The movement of polarities being taken by the rules of the 5 movements, it creates infinite worlds, heavens, and these worlds it has 6 basic possibilities of existences, the 6 paths. And, for Taoists, we are now living in one of these countless worlds, one of over 2,000 heavens in the reality that we can share with other individuals who are at the same time separate and part of the Tao. This world of infinite species, chemical elements, states of matter, qualities of consciousness, celestial bodies, etc. is called in Chinese culture world of 10,000 things 9. This model can be directly related to Kant's great nest of being Wilbert, as shown below, figure 2, which helps to position the psychotherapist Taoist orientation alongside transpersonal theory. We also remember the importance of understand that all personal development work, with the help of therapy or not, will be influenced by the historical time in which you are living, heaven by the place where you are lives earth, and through personal, social, cultural relationships, etc. And what each one is involved. Page notes. 8. These are the 5 behaviors of kite energy that were described by Chinese sages at least 5,000 years ago. Who compared them with the natural elements, the energy that rises, leaves us up and brings joy, is like the flames of the bonfire. The energy that is in balance and gives us the firmness of position, that is how a mountain is like the earth. The energy that incites us to recollection and introspection is focal as the geological process of formation of ores metal. The energy of fear and cold brings us down and makes us feel like water flowing, and the energy that expands in all directions like the treetops reminds us of wood. 9. The very large number that refers to our inability to count it accurately. End of page notes. Figure 2. The great nest of being from the Wilberian theory and the corresponding levels in the Taoist tradition. P.S. Addendum by Sybil Mann Baylor. Dear readers, it is worth searching for this article and observing the images that are of rich visual construction for understanding in the form of an organization chart of the relationships of elements and levels of awareness addressed. For those with visual limitations, look for someone you trust who can't describe them to you. End of addendum. After our first approximation, let's talk about the development, folks. As with Internal Alchemy, the goal of Taoist-oriented psychotherapy would be to do the opposite way of the one presented above by Taikaitu 10, and thus do with the person who lives in the world of 10,000 things, which is called in Taoism and traditional Chinese medicine of Po consciousness, can return to Tao. Awareness of Po is that based on Jing, on the energy of the essence. The ACIOCI 8, 2007. Essence refers to blood and sexual fluids, which means that a Po person has their mentality trapped in meeting basic survival needs and getting more money, blood, in addition to meet sexual needs, fluids. The person who recovers his essence energy, or Jing, through good nutrition, good physical activity, and the cultivation of good relationships of partnership, manages to identify the ego no longer with its most basic needs and can enter a more complex life, ceasing to be a Po-conscious person to being the person of unconsciousness. Consciousness is said to meet Hun, or the soul, for it is now closer to the heart, and more connected with the needs of the middle centers and Tanti, and therefore it is a moment of life that leads the person's ego to identify relationships of friendship, affection in general, and greater connections with the world, social, cultural and natural. The person who has become whole in unconsciousness can allow himself to explore other more complex, or transpersonal, levels of consciousness and become a person of Shen consciousness. Shen is the spiritualized/philosophical nature of consciousness. It is equivalent to the centauric stage of the spectrum of consciousness by Ken Wilber 1995 and the highest rung of Maslow's pyramid of needs 1970. An advanced and difficult stage of development, where it is believed to arrive with the alchemical techniques, overcoming the process that even leads to death, is the stage where consciousness no longer identifies with ordinary life, subject to aging and change, called in Taoism heaven posterior. When this occurs, and the alchemist develops within himself the pill, the elixir golden reverses the flow by placing fire under water, generates steam, and various other denominations, one attains the causal, or supramental, consciousness called Su mystic. One who has become an immortal sage by attaining Su consciousness becomes effectively one with the Tao. For the Chinese alchemical tradition, he goes into what he is called by the Chinese the former sky, the morphogenetic blueprint 11 of the world. Ownership. From this understanding, we can draw a second comparison. Speaking of the pyramid of Maslow's needs, energy centers and types of consciousness in a framework comparative. Chart 1. Types of consciousness and their representation in various authors. Here I left a brief description of the painting. First stage of consciousness, Wilber, psychic, subtle, causal. The energetic center is the seventh chakra, Pi Wei, and the type of consciousness in Taoism is Su. 2. Stage of consciousness, Wilber, logical, existential, centaur vision. The Membak Cowan is yellow, referring to integral, and turquoise referring to harmony. The energy center is the sixth chakra, C1 and third eye. Type of consciousness Shen, Hun and Po. 3. Stage of consciousness, Wilber, pluralistic mind, planetary vision. The Membak Cowan is green, equality and community. In Maslow's pyramids of needs is morality, creativity, acceptance. The energy center is the fifth chakra at C7 and base from the throat, Shen, Hun and Po. Type of awareness. 4th stage of consciousness, Wilber, high ego, formal operation. The Membak Cowan is orange, autonomy and self-actualization. In Maslow's pyramids of needs it is self-esteem, self-confidence and respect. The energy center is the fourth chakra in T-5 and thymus, Shen, Hun and Po. Type of awareness. 5. Stage of consciousness, Wilber, low egoic, aparat, concrete. The Bakauan mem is blue, order and real strength. In Maslow's pyramids of needs is friendship, family and sexuality. The energy center is the third chakra in T-11 and Ming Men, Shen, Hun and Po. Type of awareness. 6. Stage of consciousness, Wilber, emotional, typhonic, preoperational. The Membak Cowan magical purple and red of domination. In the pyramids of Maslow's needs is security resources, employment, property. The energy center is the second chakra, sacral pump and palace of ovaries, sperm, Shen, Hun and Po type of awareness. 7. Stage of consciousness, Wilbur, sensory physical, Urabaric, the Bajabakawan mem, instinctual. In Maslow's pyramids of needs is physiological needs. The energy center is the first chakra, the perineum, Shen, Hun and type of consciousness dust. End of table description. Page note 11. I am referring here to Rupert Sheldrake's idea that non-material and non-physical fields give rise to the forms of the universe. Material world. End of page note. This whole process, which in internal alchemy is carried out through the cultivation of alchemical formulas based on the internal alchemy map, or Neijing Tu figure 3, can also be thought of in the context of the transdisciplinary dialogue D'Ambrosio, 1997, between transpersonal psychology and Taoism, where science, religion, and philosophy can dialogue through phenomenology of human experiences. The dialogue between these different, but complementary forms of knowledge will be our object of study and analysis from the next chapter. Figure 3, Neijing Tu, the map of internal alchemy, ancient Chinese representation of the holotropic movement. It shows psycho-spiritual development as a 9-step climb to the top of a mountain. Another detail to be considered is that the sacred mathematics of Taoism, expressed in the symbols of the sequence of the map of the Most High, of the treatise of changes I Ching and the lake map PTU, together present the generation of the world following the mathematical sequence divulged in the West as the sequence Fibonacci Heath, 2007. From there, we will be able to complete our study relating Taoist internal alchemy to the model of sustainable development of consciousness proposed by Posey 2007, 2003, who built it from the movements related to this logarithmic sequence. Figure 4. Map of the development of consciousness adapted from Posey 2003. The consciousness of alchemist comes from Wu Kai point 0 at birth. It condenses until it develops into the ego individual and merge the yin and yang energies within the individual at maturity. Point 6. Returning to expand in the second half of life, returning to Wu Kai point 12. Consciously at death. Additional descriptive note by Sybil Manaviller G. The figure in this excerpt has an image with various scores in geometries in expansive constructions of the Fibonacci sequence, and another table with the elements wood, fire, earth, metal and water and their representations and / or correlates. See directly in the PDF. End of observation. 2.1 Stage of Wu Kai. The Chinese symbols of the map of the Most High can be used to summarize also some stages of existence. From now on, we will relate them to Posey's study. 2007, 2003, about the phases of life. The first stage, that of Wu Kai, is related to the whole initial period of human life and also to the period not traditionally calculated as lifetime, the period before the perinatal stage, which is the gestational period. The beginning this stage is outside the biographical period GROF, 2000. In the period prior to the internship perinatally, the soul Hun of the child can contact the parents in non-state experiences. Consciousness as in amplifications, dreams, mediumistic contact or contact direct shamanism. Teixeira, 2009. These contacts can reveal personality traits, personal data such as one's name or previous origin, as well as aspects of the mission personal and that often also appear in early childhood. Stevenson, 2010, where consciousness is experiencing this stage of Wu-Kai. Three energies are present in the perinatal stage: the ancestral energy donated by the parents and to our parents for their parents and etc. as a vital inheritance and which connects us to karma familiar. This energy is called Jing, and later it will be the ruler of the sexual fluids and the blood. The second energy is the maternal energy, or mother Kai 12, which through food, breath and the vital energy itself nourishes the fetus. The third is personal cosmic energy, the spark of vitality that we never lose, and it is a certain amount of Kai energy coupled to the soul. 400. Therefore, the personal cosmic energy is the individual energy, which has remained with the soul for it to function while the transmigration process was taking place, which happens to those who did not forge the spiritual body and remain trapped in the wheel of destiny, that is, in the cycle of reincarnations. This last energy, personal cosmic Kai, brings information from previous lives and the world 13 that soul was in before returning to human plan. Later, when the yang aspect of consciousness is integrated, which starts with around age 7 or 8, the yang organizing energy will activate that personal cosmic Kai that will become the main center of gravity of that individual's ego. The ancient energy, coming from the parents, and the mother energy, which are the two precious prenatal energies, are perinatal energies, received by the individual in the process of conception and generation. Energy already personal cosmic energy is karmic, and, because it is activated later, it is used together with the energy absorbed in the biographical period through breathing, eating, Kaikung and other means. These energies, personal cosmic energy and vital energy, absorbed in the biographical period of life. Therefore, together, they give rise to postnatal energy. Page notes. 12 Kai is the bioenergy that gives life to everything that exists, directly related, in human beings, to aspects physiological processes, emotions, psychic impulses, and the soul's connection to life. Moves mostly by the rails of the fascia called meridians, and their 5 types, 5 elements or 5 principles, have greater affinity with specific organ groups. The Kai energy that is stored by basic Taoist practices is stored in the body center in the belly region. The Sha Tantian 13 Taoist alchemy works with the idea that there are in each of the 6 packs many universes and parallel dimensions, an immeasurable multiplicity. Every soul can reincarnate in any of these thousands of heavens and experience 6 basic types of existence, which in turn have many variants due to these multiple heavens. The way of man reincarnating as a human being, or equivalent the way of Sky Yang reincarnate as a luminous deity. The path of Sky Yang reincarnate as a deity obscured, a kind of world of demons but much more evolved than the human one, and there are also the conditions below human paths of obscurity, which are the path of animals reincarnate as beings less complex, the path of hungry souls, something very close to the explanation of the threshold in Spiritism and terrestrial prisons, worlds similar to Christian purgatory, where people full of attachments huddle together. End of page. Note that birth, where the trauma that marks us energetically for this existence, and where culturally we begin to count the age of that new person, we gain the pattern that will also be imprinted on the soul. This pattern described in the various astrological traditions is the same energetic pattern that the universe had at the exact same time moment we are born. Both our birth and the movement of energies that govern the climate, the movement of the planets and the great celestial computer, are governed by the same archetypes, by the same rules, the cycles of creation 14 and of control 15, which are the main ways in which the five movements whooshing are related. Of this relationship indirect we read the pattern of celestial bodies to know our energetic configuration of the birth. We can discover important aspects and patterns that will influence us for all of life. The amount of chi from the five movements in our original configuration, the animal archetype ruling our natal year, natal month, natal time. In addition to the amount of chi in organs, internal organs 16 and other aspects that can be used as a starting point both for the development process in inner alchemy and in psychotherapy. Figure 5. Whooshing. The five movements or five principles, their corresponding organs and cycles. Birth, spleen, pancreas, stomach, system nervous, cavity buccal and lips creative cycle fire, heart, pericardium, intestine thin tongue control cycle wood, liver, gallbladder, muscles, eyes cycle of rebellion water, kidneys, bladder, bones, sexual organs, ears subtraction cycle metal, lungs, large intestine, fascia, nose. Descriptive note: the figure shows the cycles and interactions of the five elements in creative cycles, control cycles, rebellion cycles and subtraction cycle and creative cycle. See in the article. Page note 14. The creative cycle, or shed, is the path that energy takes nourishing one type of natural element with another. Thus, water, kidneys and bladder nourishes plants. That is, wood, liver and gallbladder wood is used as fuel for fire. Heart and small intestine, the ashes of fire are deposited generating more earth. Spleen and stomach, the earth generates the pressure so that the ores, that is, the metals, lungs and large intestine graduate and metals yield mineral salts to water. 15. The control cycle, or KO, is the path that energy takes by destroying or stagnating the type of element naturally with another. Thus, it is with love and joy fire that we get rid of depression metal, and with deep breathing metal which relieves impulses, anger wood with aggressiveness and movement wood that we come out of stagnation and indecision earth. It is with clarity and a strong positioning earth that we face our fears water, and it is with gentleness water that we win the hearts of those who have grown cold to life fire. 16. Considering that traditional Chinese medicine defends that we need to have the amount of the five elements balanced to be healthy, to know which energies need to be diminished or nourished, and also to know which potential talents the energy our natal sign offers us, can be very useful for development folks. Knowing these patterns and using them to our advantage instead of opposing them is also flowing with a Tao. End of page note. Audio recorded by Sybil Mann Baylor on January 9, 2023, for educational sharing. Therefore, in this rite of passage that is birth, where the fetus dies for the baby to be born, there is an impression in the soul of that being that defines an amount of yin and yang, the five elements and the archetypal energies that were their gifts. To be healthy and develop, we need to learn, for example, How to controlling a yang that was originally at 65% and nurturing the yin that was at 35%. Developing Chun, the middle energy. The baby and then the child will light out the dance of their birth patterns. Quality of the prenatal energies received. Your personal karmic energy and the marks birth trauma energetics with the historical time patterns in which will be living sky energy, or weather and the weather, geological and structures of the place where it was born earth energy, or space. Your matrices energies will still be influenced by the patterns and archetypes of the spectrum of human development. The supramental archetypes that govern each phase of life. POZATI 2007 2003. The capabilities arising from the integration of each new stage consciousness or Beth Cowan 2000 and the maturation of the structure corresponding biological, which supports this internal development. Table 2. The stages of life, archetypes and ideal ages according to the Fibonacci sequence studied by Mauro Pozzi 2003 related to Chinese elements. Note here, Sybil Manvaler's brief description of the painting in the article being read. 1. Stage of life birth 0 to 1. Wood liver / eyes 0. Fire heart / tongue 0. Water kidneys / ears 0. Metal lungs / nose 0. 2. Childhood stage of life 1 to 8. Wood liver / eyes divine child. Fire heart / tongue federal child. Water kidneys / ears child heroes. Metal lungs / nose early child. 3. Puberty stage of life 8 to 13. Wood liver / eyes 0. Fire heart / tongue 0. Water kidneys / ears 0. Metal lungs / nose 0. 4. Life stage adolescence 13 to 21. Wood liver / eyes pioneer. Fire heart / tongue lover. Water kidneys / ears messenger. Metal lungs / nose apprentice. 5. Youth stage of life 21 to 34. Wood liver / eyes king. Fire heart / tongue healer. Water kidneys / ears warrior. Metal lungs / nose mage. 6. Phase of life adulthood 34 to 55. Wood liver / eyes visionary. Fire heart / tongue craftsman. Water kidneys / ears leader. Metal lungs / nose sage. 7. Stage of life maturity 55 to 76. Wood liver / eyes 0. Fire heart / tongue 0. Water kidneys / ears 0. Metal lungs / nose 0. 8. Young elderly life stage 76 to 89. Wood liver / eyes visionary. Fire heart / tongue craftsman. Water kidneys / ears leader. Metal lungs / nose sage. 9. Stage of life mature seniority 89 to 110. Wood liver / eyes king. Fire heart / tongue healer. Water kidneys / ears warrior. Metal lungs / nose mage. 10. Old age life phase 110 to 123. Wood liver / eyes pioneer. Fire heart / tongue lover. Water kidneys / ears messenger. Metal lungs / nose apprentice. 11. Stage of life: old age 123 to 131, 110 to 123. Wood liver / eyes 0, fire heart / tongue 0, water kidneys / ears 0, metal lungs / nose 0. 12. Phase of life: Scenario 131 to 144. Wood liver / eyes divine child * disconnection of intuition. Fire heart / tongue federal child * shut down of sensations. Water kidneys / ears child hero * disconnection of thoughts. Metal lungs / nose early child * shut down of emotions. End of table description. Beloved readers, the reading was done along the horizontal lines for better audio understanding. Thankful. In the stage of hermaphrodite undifferentiation COLEGRABE 1992 and heteronomous Piaget 1972 of Wu Kai until around 7 or 8 years old, the child is influenced by 4 main archetypes: the divine child, the Oedipal child, the precocious and the hero child. 17. This period deserves our deep attention because it occurs here, the origin of a recurrent transpersonal illness in many practitioners of internal alchemy. The Mahal-yogi Wilbert, 2009. After the birth process and passage of the baby through the basic perinatal matrices GROF, 2000, which occur in a creative flow shed as it energetically describes the Chinese tradition, the life of child will begin to float, like that of all other living beings, in a cycle of subtraction and archetypal leap, experiencing the pattern of losing your energies to the cosmos, which is considered in Taoism the reason for death. That is, after the birth we begin to die, and we need in this period of physical dependence, energetic, mental and cultural support and input from our parents. When that does not occur, and the mother is unable to pass on love fire kite to the baby from 0 to 1 year, and then in the first year of childhood this child will have difficulty integrate the qualities of your divine child with that outstanding pattern, malnourished energetically, loving. In adolescence, youth or adulthood, if this individual completes the first of the 9 Taoist alchemical formulas, or dedicates himself to other practices of opening to transpersonal levels of consciousness, will develop the Meijiaji, whose symptoms are a disordered and hot yang flow of energy vital, the kite, through the meridian subtle trails through which the vital energy flows, causing harm functioning of some organs, tiredness, and characteristic allergies in the main acupuncture points, mainly those related to the large ganglia lymphatics. This occurs when our consciousness takes a leap from the centauric level or existential to the psychic, the first transpersonal level in the Wilberian classification. This phenomenon of development has already been observed many times by me in groups of Kaikou, and alchemy is not always just pleasurable, joyful and numerous. As explained by Wilbert, and quoted above, when we are indebted to this divine child, that is, when we have a fulcrum to pathology 18, we end up awakening the disease that must be treated with learning to receive love and resolution of karmic and effective debts with parents or people who should have transmit fire kite to the baby/child. Page note 17 for a detailed explanation of these patterns. See King, Warrior, Mage, Lover, The Rediscovery of the Masculine Archetypes by Robert Moore and Douglas Gillette 1993. 18 Fulcrum 2 disorders are narcissistic personality disorders. Among them are grandeur, feeling that their problems are unique, and the lack of interest and empathy for others. Although in this case the person seeks to gain the admiration and approval of others. Wilbert, 2009. Page 64. These disturbances originate from the described lifespan. End of page. Note. Table 3. Archetypal development of the Wu Kai stage and its main pathologies. As the child lives after birth in the subtractive cycle, the 5 movements appear in reverse order. Actions of the parents using the rebellion cycle or the subtractive cycle itself soften or sedate the effect of the subtractive process, and thus living becomes more bearable. This picture is very complex. I recommend searching the figure in the article. Integration of the hero archetype marks when a significant amount of yang energy has taken over the child's psyche and will begin the process of ending the child. Wu Kai stage. In this phase of Wu Kai, of ocean diving and attachment to the approval of parents or adult references that replace parents, and where the influence of Kai is projected primordial, most of the traumas and roots of the most difficult psycho-spiritual pathologies to resolve were formed. As it is, the age of the first fulcrums, Wilbert, 2009, that need the more difficult treatments. The Mal Yogi originates at this time and stems from the inability of the mother to transmit fire Kai love and joy to her child, and is sometimes amplified by father's impediment to using metal Kai correct action. Male focal energy from age 2 years of age of the child. In situations where the woman refuses to abandon the fusion system, mother-baby. Audio recorded by Sybil Mann Baylor on January 9, 2023, for educational sharing. 2.2 Yang stage. It is the structuring masculine energy, which organizes the psyche, taking it out of chaos. Primordial, undifferentiated hermaphrodite and heteronomous of Wu Kai. Give the child the own identity and roles. It is a process that already starts in the hero archetype, and the responsible, among other things, for the split with parents in adolescence, for structuring the ego or guardian in the terminology of Carlos Castaneda, the anthropologist disciple of Don Juan 19. At the spiritual level, the Yang stage activates personal energy, one of the 3 energies present in the fetus, which becomes the center of the psyche and brings out personal talents, individual mission, beyond individual karmic traits and past life memories. This is reason, according to the Taoist tradition, why from adolescence some people deviate so much from the patterns of family upbringing and often become individuals that will break with all their local culture, manifesting the patterns that have been rooted in your soul. It is advisable to start here the work of expanding awareness that help to better structure the ego initiation rites or to awaken the karmic Kai individual, using past life therapies, TVP rebirthing, breathing holotropic or even regression techniques. At some point in this period, there will be the biological turn to adolescence and then into youth, with the transformations of puberty ruled by the earth element. At that moment, the psyche is related to 4 archetypes that break with Wu Kai: dragon, snake, horse and goat, and 4 others that stabilize yang energy: monkey, rooster, dog and boar. It is a period of technical scientific training specialization, not necessarily experienced within the formal academic environment, preceded by the structuring hierarchical and sometimes algorithmic nature of routine and life itself. Page notes 19 to better understand the way of the warrior taught by Don Juan and other indigenous masters to Carlos Castaneda, and realizing the similarity with Taoism. Read mainly A Strange Reality 1971, Journey to Its Land 1972, Door to Infinity 1975, The Eagle's Gift 1981, and Magic Passes 1998. End of page notes. Table 4. Psychological archetypes experienced by young people and adults and their correspondence with the archetypes from Western astrology, Chinese animal archetypes, and on Japanese deities. Observation. Description of picture of Sybil Mandela by the horizontal lines. 1. Archetypes. Psychological. Divine Child. Astrology. Western. Clean. Archetypes. Animals. Clean. Deities of Taoism. Japanese. Clean. 2. Archetypes. Psychological. Bedful Child. Astrology. Western. Clean. Archetypes. Animals. Clean. Deities of Taoism. Japanese. Clean. 3. Archetypes. Psychological. Precocious Child. Astrology. Western. Clean. Archetypes. Animals. Clean. Deities of Taoism. Japanese. Clean. 4. Archetypes. Psychological. Hero Child. Astrology. Western. Clean. Archetypes. Animals. Clean. Deities of Taoism. Japanese. Clean. 5. Archetypes. Psychological. Pioneer. Astrology. Western. Fairies. Archetypes. Animals. Dragon. Deities of Taoism. Japanese. Shizushi no Kami. 6. Archetypes. Psychological. Lover. Astrology. Western. Taurus. Archetypes. Animals. Snake. Deities of Taoism. Japanese. Kami Mushibi no Camp. 7. Archetypes. Psychological. Messenger. Astrology. Western. Gemini. Archetypes. Animals. Horse. Deities of Taoism. Japanese. Hachiman Kami. 8. Archetypes. Psychological learner. Astrology. Western. Cancer. Archetypes. Animals. Goat. Deities of Taoism. Japanese. Tsukuimi no Mikoto. 9. Archetypes. Psychological. King. Astrology. Western. Leo. Archetypes. Animals. Monkey. Deities of Taoism. Japanese. Amaterasu Damakami. 10. Archetypes. Psychological healer. Astrology. Western. Virgo. Archetypes. Animals. Rooster. Deities of Taoism. Japanese. Ayukachikam no Kami. 11. Archetypes. Psychological. Warrior. Astrology. Western. Libra. Archetypes. Animals. Dog. Deities of Taoism. Japanese. Unit no Kotashi no Camp. 12. Archetypes. Psychological. Mage. Astrology. Western. Scorpio. Archetypes. Animals. Boar. Deities of Taoism. Japanese. Uejimi no Kami. 13. Archetypes. Psychological visionary. Astrology. Western. Sagittarius. Archetypes. Animals. Rat. Deities of Taoism. Japanese. Ninji no Mikoto. 14. Archetypes. Psychological. Partisan S. Astrology. Western. Capricorn. Archetypes. Animals. Buffalo. Deities of Taoism. Japanese. Tachikora no Kami. 15. Archetypes. Psychological. leader, astrology, Western, Aquarius, archetypes, animals, tiger, deities of Taoism, Japanese, Susanyo no Mikoto. 16. Archetypes, psychological sage, astrology, Western, Pisces, archetypes, animals, rabbit, deities of Taoism, Japanese, Okini Nashi no Mikoto. 17. Archetypes, psychological, being harmonic, astrology, Western, 0. Archetypes, animals, 0. Deities of Taoism, Japanese, Rikudu Seinen. Note by Sybil Man Baylor on table description. The numbering from 1 to 17 does not appear in the table of the article. The numbering from 1 to 17 previously read was added here to indicate each horizontal line read, which participates in a large table of lines and columns, therefore added to facilitate reading and visualization. Mental. End of table description. 2.3 Yin stage. Yin is receptive and flowing female energy. When integrated, I become sensitive to the natural rhythm. I accept myself, others and, above all, I accept the ups and downs of destiny. Having acquired the capacity for acceptance, I also get rid of expectations. Denial of the natural flow between successes and failures, health and illness, good and bad, and of controls in general. It is the final break with Wu Kai and the entry into feminine energy. Matured, which incites me to new, more holistic and comprehensive worldviews. Show up now mingled with Yang in the monkey, rooster, dog and boar archetypes, but emerges at its maximum holistic feminine glow with pluralistic and integrative vision. Green Demon onwards. For the accustomed to the nomenclature of Beck and Cowan, 20 of the archetypes of the rat, buffalo, tiger and rabbit. With the integration of the 12, thus completing the 12 Yang times. For the first stage of the 12 terrestrial branches, the possibility arises of experiencing the harmonic being, in the figure of sage who climbs the mountain, the immortal hermit to unite with nature, Xing with Tao. In the stage of life called maturity by Posey 2007, 2003, 20 Beck, D. Cowan CC. The Dynamics of the Spiral. Lisbon, Piaget Institute, 2000. 2.4 Tai Chi stage. It is the spiritual androgynous fusion of yin and yang. After the first stages in Madura and of Fogo 0 to 55 years old, the body makes a biological turn, menopause and andropause, that softens the morphological extreme yin or extreme yang aspects and prepares the ground for the same fusion that takes place in the psyche. Culturally, we have been stuck in the ego stages, including having difficulty integrating the existential/centauric stage that makes the mind-body fusion. This fusion only occurs with the integration of the yin stage. This difficulty has by our fixation on keeping up with the physical appearance and functions of the first half of life, and ends up hindering the entry and stabilization of transpersonal stages. Here condense in the Tai Chi phase. With the body structure tending towards androgyny, we have more ease in integrating yin and yang and manifesting it in our body, promoting the fusion of transpersonal capabilities in the shared dimension. This whole process prepares us for the conscious return to the original source, to the primordial void behind all forms, the Wu Kai. In Taoism, the main proof of reaching this stage also known as spiritual immortality. The penultimate stage of evolution is the ability to be aware in dreams, living them lucidly as one lives the shared material dimension. Chia Huan, 2004, Wilson, 2004. Audio recorded by Sybil Baylor on January 9, 2023, for educational sharing. 2.5 stage Wu Kai. Conscious entry into the Wu Kai stage after complete development of psyche, passing through the other phases or stages, represents the rare and ultimate psycho-spiritual achievement. It would be the transition from that stage described by Ken Wilber as the passage of subtle and causal stages to the non-dual, attained by only a few characters from the world mythologies. For Taoists, it is the achievement of physical spiritual immortality, characterized by episodes where certain sages dematerialized and returned to materialize, and that we find in literature such as when Don Juan surprised Carlos Castaneda, when Murray escaped being shot by the police squad in the famous firing line challenge Gozo, 2010, when the Chinese sages appeared for aid. Student of Internal Alchemy after the Chinese government's hunt for the Maoist Cultural Revolution, 21 ELOFDLD, 1986, among others. Page note: 21 Situation where many Taoist masters were murdered. End of page note. 3 Taoist practices in transpersonal psychotherapy as a complement and base theory. Both the Taoist vision and the principles of traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM, which are principles derived from Taoism, can contribute to a better structuring of transpersonal psychology, as proposed by Groff in relation to all Western medicine and psychotherapy. Grof 2011, 2000. This statement is justified by the power to perceive the correlation between the various systems that make up the being, both physically and emotionally, mentally and spiritually. The cycles of control and creation, as well as the mutations of energy patterns of time and levels of manifestation of life, intersect, and the ancient Chinese left all this technology of how to read these correlations available to us. In addition to these aspects that we have already briefly discussed and which we will not be able to fully explore in a short article, there are several considerations that we can weave about techniques and approaches. Some of these considerations follow in the texts below. 3.1 Scaling up holotropic breathwork facilitator interventions. There are some questions of relative ease in relation to a possible integration of the TCM principles in holotropic breathwork. The first is the learning of body reading through the theory of the 5 elements. Invariably the breather expresses in his body as a metaphor something that refers to the energy of one of the 5 elements or more of them. Along of the session, situations of amplification can be created using an intervention that increases the desired energy through the creative cycle or use. The acupuncture points in the interventions. I have been experimenting with this approach to acupressure for about 2 years now, very successfully. Superior intervention is carried out by the inner alchemist who, with the 8 wonderful vessels activated process that occurs with those who are in stages advanced alchemy. In other traditions, the opening of the 8 main meridians that connect with supracosmic energies are known by metaphors such as spreading the wings angel, among others. But they should not be so mystified, since there are methods of development and structuring of these human capacities. In advanced intervention, the facilitator is able to act directly in the breathing field in processes similar to those shamanic cures or those performed by the great healers and sages of the world's mythologies. An extremely positive practice within this approach has been the use of points of the two main wondrous vessels for amplification of emotional energies during breathing sessions. These are points where the person receives some types of energy/information. The government meridian points, yang, located predominantly on the back and where it manifests these same types of energy/information points of the conception meridian, yin, located in the previous door. Below follows schematic of these points and their meaning. In this section there is a figure showing the main energy vortices of the body or chakras, their colors and locations in the body, with their conical shape, projecting forwards and backwards, in the body. Figure 6. Points of the microcosmic orbit formed by the two main marvelous vessels. Du Chuan, K1 bubbling spring connection with earth energy, Wei Yin, perineum gate of life and death. Slightly contracted energy circulates. Fully relaxed loss of energy which leads to death. Chong Chong, sacrum 8 holes of the immortals where energy cools down to be used safely. Closed can make us have a lot of resistance to trusting other people. Ming Men, door of life, opens the connection with other energetic dimensions and recovers Jing energy ancestor/primordial like the sacrum. When closed it can make us very resistant to trusting others. People. Kaichu, T11, point contrary to the solar plexus. Insecurity, point of personal power. Assertiveness closed to the person, it becomes invisible and unable to be believed. In addition to having difficulty with authority coming from others. Diape, T.5, opposite thymus, accepting love from others. Tachui, H7, control point of the rational mind. When closed the mind rules everything, and when open it brings lightness and condition of letting the energy flow to the pure mind behind the neck in the most protruding bone of the back. Closed to the brain, center of control of the mind over the body. Closed leads the person to very stubborn behaviors. Sometimes appearing physically in the form of a small accumulation of fat at that point. Yui Gen. C1 Jade pillow. When open energy flows into the brain, and closed leads to hard by Heka. People clinging to opinions. Pai Wei, crown, spiritual connection, energy from heaven. Shen Tang, third eye, subtle vision/intuition, where I absorb golden kite, palate plus tongue. Connection between the yin channel at the front of the body and the yang channel at the back, with the spine. Two channels of two vessels. Wonderful Suan kite, throat, expression/speech. Shen Chuan, thymus, hammersness/immune system. Shanwan, solar plexus, personal power. Kaichu, navel, center of the body. Stabilizing energy. Kite height, womb, sea of kite, palace of ovaries/sperm. Sexuality. 3.2 Broadening the horizons of transpersonal psychotherapists. In therapy, the use of the 8-trigram map and the notion of the 5-element system in resolving the patient's traumas and traumas it is very useful. We can resort to this symbology to read which stage and state the patient is in. From this reading, which normally it would be a mixture of reading the body, reading the kite, reading the patterns of behavior and facts of daily life, in addition to the birth chart itself and other tools similar The various dimensions of the patient can be correlated in a pattern complete from the perception of how the elements are affecting your health, relationships, goals, dreams and others. Certain physical illnesses or marked behaviors can be used as clues during the investigation to build the patient's profile. When any organ of the senses or one of organ's major organs is diseased, we know that the person is in excess or lack of some of the forms of chi, which caused her to generate this same illness. In that case, we can observe when someone has excessive tension in the masseter, or with some disease in the eyes, and knowing that some imbalance affects your liver. In Internal Alchemy, the parent of these two other organs, TCM, will also show us that the gallbladder meridian biliary tract, the viscera, food associated with the liver, passes through the masseter, runs behind the head, and ends in the eyes. This reveals that any unhealthy wood element energy will be shared by the organs of the wood element liver and gallbladder, and the disease will necessarily manifest itself in these organs, but in their correlates. Within that, the allergies, bruxism and eye diseases are caused by repressed anger thrown into the shadow, that manifests itself in the body through the psychosomatic process. Therefore, every emotion contained toward denied nature, as well as all lacks of unintegrated stages in life, such as the qualities of the archetypes that are eventually not developed by the individual, will eventually manifest itself in one way or another as a physical illness to give flow and counteract psychoenergetic repression. As painful as they are, these phenomena are just attempts to rebalance the being, which seeks to return to the center, purging the energies that are harmful to you in some way. The therapeutic process can help the patient integrate these themes and energies to avoid illness and accelerate healing. Aging. More broadly, we can say that it is the job of the psychotherapist to guide transpersonal and Taoist approach to facilitate the process of his patients in understanding that certain pains are part of the growth process. That we deny in our culture some of the 5 movements. It is ugly to feel angry and sad in most families, for example, but everything 27. This is part of our human nature and must be integrated in order for us to reach the state of complete, the most beautiful sculpture of ourselves. Souza, 2007. Audio recorded by Sybil Mann Baylor on January 9, 2023, for educational sharing. 3.3 Taoist interpretation of dreams. Nothing is more important in Taoist inner alchemy than the internal organs. Each one of them is recognized as a living entity, the holon that possesses intelligence and life. In dreams, our soul communicates to us about the subtle state of these intelligences. Internal, sometimes communicating that they are strong and powerful, other times warning us that we're heading towards illness. Although rare, and we need very careful to classify certain dreams within these exceptions, Taoism recognizes the existence of anomalitic dreams such as precognitive dreams and initiatory dreams, where even some stage of the alchemical process can be revealed. Wilson, 2004. Basic Taoist symbology for dreams holds that the dream content we are ourselves, and each of the characters or locations is a manifestation of the 5 elements and the organs. The climate and relief of the place are related to the elements. People dressed in colorful clothes or unusual animals are archetypes that refer to our organs. Within this logic, the Tai Chi Chuan student once reported, I dreamed that a bunch of heavily armed, black-clad robbers tried to break into my home. When they almost succeeded, my grandfather, dressed in the dark blue canvas jacket, appeared and scared them away with gunshots. The Taoist interpretation would tend towards the explanation of what contents of the shadow are trying to emerge with intensity. Burglars dressed in black and heavily armed men tried to break into the house. But is there some pattern or conviction that probably originates in the ancestry gene that represses these contents? Grandfather, dressed with a dark blue canvas jacket, like energy, the kidneys, shooting with a shotgun. In general, those interpretations that reveal involved organs, emotions and energies are extremely useful for amplifying the effects of students of internal alchemy, Tai Kung and Tai Chi Chuan, who need to clean unbalanced emotions and integrate the different your soul's capabilities to reach higher levels of your practices. Down one table with the main symbolic relationships of the 5 elements. Table 5. Main relationships of the 5 movements. Here again the description of the table where Sybil Man Baylor arranges it for easy reading with numbering indicating each line. Table 5 is composed of 3 tables. The first table with 7 columns and 5 rows. The second table with 7 columns and 5 rows, and the third table with 7 columns and 5 rows. Table A. Table A describes the topics: element, color. Organ and viscera, openness. Positive emotion, negative emotion, function of consciousness. 1. Element, wood * grows in all directions. Color, green. Organ, liver, gallbladder and viscera, opening, eyes. Vision, positive emotion, kindness, attitude. Will, negative emotion, anger, wrath, function of conscience, intuition. 2. Element, fire * rises. Color, red. Organ and viscera, heart, intestine. Slender, opening, tongue. Taste, positive emotion, joy, love, negative emotion, impatience, function of consciousness, sensation. 3. Element, earth * stabilizes. Color, yellow/gold. Organ and viscera, pancreas, stomach, opening, mouth. Touch. Positive emotion, balance, clarity, negative emotion, confusion, indecision, function of consciousness. Transcendence. 4. Element, metal * seal. Color, white/silver. Organ and viscera, lungs, large intestine, stomach, openness, nose. Smell, positive emotion, courage, justice, negative emotion, sadness, depression, function of consciousness, feeling. 5. Element, water * flows/goes down. Color, dark blue/black. Organ and viscera, kidneys, bladder. Opening, ears. Hearing. Positive emotion, softness, negative emotion, fear, function of consciousness, thought. End table A. Start table B. Table B. Table B describes the topics: element, anima. Archetype, astrological archetype, Platonic archetype, human value, educational action, type of meditation. 1. Element, wood * grows in all directions. Animal archetype, green dragon. Wing long, Astrological archetype, Sagittarius visionary. Platonic archetype, vision. Human value, truth. Educational action, learning to know. Type of meditation, walking. 2. Element, fire * rises. Animal archetype, red pheasant zoo Q. Astrological archetype, Virgo healer. Platonic archetype, love. Human value, love. Educational action, learning to love. Type of meditation, lying down. 3. Element, earth * stabilizes. Animal archetype, yellow dragon Huanglong. Astrological archetype, 0. Platonic archetype, 0. Human value, peace. Educational action, learning to be. Meditation type, 0. 4. Element, metal * focus. Animal archetype, white tiger Bihu. Astrological archetype, Pisces sage. Platonic archetype, wisdom. Human value, nonviolence. Educational action, learning to live together. Type of meditation, sitting. 5. Element, water * flows, descends. Animal archetype, black tortoise Zhuanwu. Astrological archetype, Libra warrior. Platonic archetype, power. Human value, right action. Educational action, learning to do. Type of meditation, standing. End of Table B. Start Table C. Table C. Table C describes the topics. Element, Taoist virtue affirmation. Taoist virtue denial. Season climate. Planet. Healing balm. Musical instrument. 1. Element, wood * grows in all directions. Taoist virtue affirmation kindness. Taoist virtue negation form, appearance. Season climate spring germination, windy. Planet, Jupiter. Healing balm, canto. Musical instrument, bells or cymbals. 2. Element, fire * rises. Taoist virtue affirmation politeness. Taoist virtue denial emotion. Season climate summer amplification, heat. Planet Mars. Healing balm, telling stories. Musical instrument, drums. 3. Element, earth stabilizes. Taoist virtue affirmation sincerity. Taoist virtue denial thought/intention. Season climate summer. Stabilization, humid. Planet, Saturn. Healing balm, sleep. Musical instrument, silence. Wind, 0. 4. Element, metal * focus. Taoist virtue affirmation justice. Taoist virtue denial action. Season climate autumn dryness. Venus planet. Healing balm, silence. Musical instrument, bones or sticks that click. 5. Element, water * flows/goes down. Taoist virtue affirmation wisdom. Taoist virtue denial intelligence/knowledge. Season climate winter cold. Mercury planet. Healing balm, dance. Musical instrument, rattles or maracas. End of the description of Table 5. Main relations of the 5 movements. With 3 tables, hearing audio designated A. B and C for descriptive organization. Table 6. Relationship between transpersonal psychology and Taoism. Table 6 has a table with 3 vertical columns and 6 diagonal lines. The table describes the elements, archetypes, MPBs, life stages, levels of consciousness and the big 3 into categories: transpersonal psychology, Prophet Wilbur Jung, Posey, and in Taoism Chem, Chia, Mafio Shir, Go Grave. In transpersonal psychology refers to Jung, Prophet Wilbur, Posey. In Taoism refers to Churn, Chia, Mafio Shir, Go Grave. Line 1. Elements in transpersonal psychology: 1 earth, 2 water, 3 air, 4 fire, 5 ether. Elements in Taoism: 1 fire, 2 metal, 3 water, 4 wood, 5 earth. Line 2. Archetypes in transpersonal psychology: 1 pioneer, 2 lover, 3 messenger, 4 apprentice, 5 king, 6 healer, 7 warrior, 8 mage, 9 visionary, 10 craftsman, 11 leader, 12 wise, 13 harmonious being. Archetypes in Taoism: 1 dragon, 2 serpent, 3 horse, 4 goat, 5 monkey, 6 rooster, 7 dog, 8 boar, 9 rat, 10 buffalo, 11 tiger, 12 rabbit, 13 immortal hermit. Line 3. MPBs in transpersonal psychology: Matrix 1 beta, Matrix 2 gamma, Matrix 3 delta, Matrix 4 alpha. MPBs in Taoism: I Ching synthesis diagram, I Ching change diagram, I Ching transformation diagram, I Ching permanence diagram. Line 4. Stages of life in transpersonal psychology: 1 birth to adolescence, 2 youth to adulthood, 3 maturity, 4 old age, 5 old age to seniority. Phases of life in Taoism: 1 wood, 2 fire, 3 earth, 4 metal, 5 water. Line 5. Levels of consciousness in transpersonal psychology: 1 matter, 2 body, 3 mind, 4 soul, 5 spirit, 6 non-duality. Levels of consciousness in Taoism: 1 WBN, 2 Jing, 3 kite, 4 Shan, 5 Soothe, 6 Tao/Wu kite. Line 6. Big 3 in transpersonal psychology: I subjective truth, we subjective truth, intersubjective, this objective truth. 3 great ones in Taoism: Tian heaven, Ren man, Kun earth. 3 great ones in Taoism: Tian heaven, Ren man, Kun earth. End of description of Table 6. In the same way, this research made it possible to understand how the numbers of the Fibonacci sequence, which underlie Posey's theory of life stages, also appear in Taoism and other traditions, including psychology. These numbers have other properties: the possibility of obtaining a constant whenever one of them is divided by its predecessor, the golden number. This golden constant is capable of generating, when their numbers are plotted as one side of a square, figures that generate the shape of a spiral identical to the one used by the Chinese 5,000 years ago to represent the symbol of clarity and darkness, Tai Chi, better known as the symbol of yin and yang. These numbers are known to be closely linked to how forms occur in nature, and we can cite as examples of their appearance in arrangement of tree branches, or arrangement of leaves on a stem, of artichoke cones and pineapple, unrolling the fern, distributing sunflower seeds, rods in insect eyes, pine cones, nautilus shell, dentition and shape of the human ear, the reproduction time of bees and many other cases. Present below are the results of the confrontation between these numbers and the central concepts of Taoism. Table 7. Meanings of the first golden spiral numbers in Taoism. Siddleman Baylor has organized here author table description by line. In the table we have numerical sequence of Fibonacci, the Taoism and more commentary. In the table we have numerical sequence of Fibonacci, the Taoism and more commentary. 1.7 Fibonacci sequence. Taoism. Comment. 1.7 Fibonacci sequence. 0. Taoism. Wu Kai, the metacosmic primordial void who has no forms, but has all potential forms and forces. Commentary. Wu Kai, literally translated as absence of the summit, is the unmanifest part of the Tao, something unattainable by human apprehension. In the 7 Sermons to the Dead, Yu used the Gnostic denomination Roma to talk about Wu Kai, and Carlos Castaneda heard from his Toltec masters stories about him as the Nahuatl. James Sams explains that Native Americans call it the Great Mystery. 2.7 Fibonacci sequence. 1. Taoism. Tai, the highest from which all forms that are perceived through complementary opposites manifest. Commentary equals Tai, literally translated as Great Peak, is the widest scope of the manifested part of the Tao, including all kinds of material and immaterial forms. In the 7 Sermons to the Dead, Yu used the Gnostic denomination Emil urged to speak of Tai, and Carlos Castaneda heard stories about him as the total from his Toltec masters. James Sams explains that Native Americans call him the Great Spirit. 3.7 Fibonacci sequence. 0 plus 1 equals 1. Taoism. Yi mind or Tai Yi. Comment. Yi is the intention, the consciousness through which the 3 personal treasures Sha Tantian, Zatantian and Shang Tantian unite, creating an intention of 3 minds in one mind uniting reason, emotion and lust. The Yi mind that leads to advancement in internal alchemy is equivalent to the action of Jung's Emil urge and Castaneda's intent. 4.7 Fibonacci sequence. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Taoism. Yin and Yang, light and shadow. Comment. Yin and Yang, literally translated as clarity and obscurity, are the complementary poles through which all manifestations become conscious. We know light by opposing it to dark. We know good by opposing it to evil, positive to negative, male to female. In the 7 Sermons to the Dead, Yu used the term devil and God to speak of yin and yang. 5.7 Fibonacci sequence. 2 plus 1 equals 3. Taoism. Senpao, 3 pure ones, 3 treasures or 3 powers. Commentary. The 3 pure ones are the 3 great parts of Tai, the 3 energies or patterns of information called earth energy or Kun, cosmic energy, energy of the human plane or Ren, and celestial energy, spiritual or Yan. In the human being, these energies, also called Jing, Kai and Shan, are stored respectively in the Sha Tantian, Zatantian and Shang Tantian. They are related to trinities, dense Kun movement Ren and subtle Tian, and with what shamanism calls the lower world, earth, and upper world. The relationship with the big three of philosophy also occurs when we face each other. 6.7 Fibonacci sequence 3 plus 2 equals 5. Taoism Wuxing 5 principles or 5 forces * when present in their yin and yang aspects are the 10 celestial trunks. Commentary Wuxing, literally translated as 5 movements, are the 5 behavior patterns of energy forms. Virtually all wisdom traditions present the 5 or 4 element map that is directly related to Wuxing. Whether these maps correspond directly to the 5 Chinese movements or the 4 that have a center. 7.7 Fibonacci sequence 5 plus 3 equals 8. Taoism Padua 8 figures or 8 trigrams. Comment Padua, literally translated as 8 figures, are the patterns of manifestation of natural elements. From these 8 figures, countless knowledge of Chinese culture were developed. Among them the I Ching hexagrams, the principles of Tai Chi Chuan and some Qigong formulas, in addition to the rules of Feng Shui. 8.7 Fibonacci sequence 8 plus 5 equals 13. Taoism 12 earthly branches and the King of Heaven *. The 12 earthly branches are the yin and yang aspects of the 6 breaths. Comment equals the 12 earthly branches are the 12 divisional fractions of time, greatness, by which we receive the influence of 12 archetypes that influence the human psyche. The best-known ways of knowing the influence of this archetypal time are astrology, both through the natal chart and the transits and the study of the phases of life. End of description of Table 7. Another extremely useful approach in psychotherapy and group development of Qigong or Tai Chi Chuan is the use of internal medicine. Burgos, 2006. With a small adaptation, the author treats the 3 Tian as chakras. With this approximation of Buddhist vision of the Taoist vision, we complement the first with a useful aspect, being the 3 chakras actually the 3 Tian, and with each of them related to one of the 3 treasures. They also correlate in the same way as the 5 elements. That's why the pathologies described by Burgos affect the individual. That is, the person suffering from emptying 22 of the Qi in the middle Tian then ends up developing aversion, which is the lack of empathy with human energy, and dies early, alone, and lives in conflict with everything and everyone. The person with Jing emptying in the lower Tian then ends up dissatisfied, generating self-destructive and suicidal desires, precisely because it is not connected to pleasure and sexual energy. And finally, the emptying of Shen in the upper Tian transforms people into confused seekers, into indifferent subjects who don't connect with emotions and dreams and live in the prison of the rational ego, eventually developing some evil in the system, lymphatic endocrine. Many other questions that do not fit here confirm the conclusions and effectiveness of the internal medicine, which can still be expanded with the principles of traditional medicine, Chinese and Taoist internal alchemy in future studies. Below is a map of the 3 Tian and your relational cycle. Figure 7. Cycles of the Tians in internal medicine. Figure description: 3 circles, one yellow, another purple-violet, and another blue, with arrows that point from one to the other in the form of a circle. In each sphere, respectively, is written Middle Zong, Upper Shang and Inner Xia. Middle Zong, home of Qi, cosmic. Superior Shang, home of celestial Zen. Lower Xia, home of the earth June. From Middle Zong to Upper Shang we have the following description. Emptying of the upper Dajin subtracts the energy of the middle Dajin, causing diseases of a lymphatic endocrine system. From Upper Shang to Lower Xia. The description is explaining this one in explanation. Emptying of the lower Dajin subtracts energy from the upper Dajin, causing diseases in the nervous system. From Lower Xia to Middle Zong. Following the description for explanation. Emptying of the middle Dajin subtracts the energy of the lower Dajin, causing diseases of the cardiovascular and osteomuscular system. End of description of Figure 7. Page note 22. In the original work of Internal Medicine, the author theorized that people have a profile linked to aversion, attachment or indifference, and that is why they suffer and develop pathologies. What we propose here is that the person is not burdened with the energies of the Tantian and therefore not being whole. It develops the non-virtuous traits in the personality. End of page note. Finally, in addition to the fusion that we propose of the two currents of thought and practice here studied, Taoism and Transpersonal Psychology, some considerations are necessary. Personal. The pages that precede this final paragraph are the product of hard work of reading and a lot of reflection started at least a year ago. Since the contact with medicine interior with a Buddhist's background, an extremely important study that was left on purpose to the end. I have no doubt that the transfer of knowledge from the Buddhist tradition to a theory and practice that could be seen as transpersonal therapy was the final inspiration for the generation of the work that we conclude here, even if temporarily, since the theme is rich and will certainly have ramifications. The fact is that each reading and each practice, each observation of the external nature and the internal nature led me to the perception that the entire universe, or rather, that the wholeness is governed by the law of 5 movements, and understanding it will allow us to move forward from indescribable way in the precision of our therapeutic action, our educational approach, and of cultivating our health on all levels. I realized that, as well as to cure the mitigate, we need love at all times. Not of long as a dependence on others, but a love that is translated as acceptance of myself as I am, of others as they are and as they are, of life as it presents itself with its ups and downs, and of the eternal flow which is neither good nor bad, light nor dark, but all things in infinite transmutation necessary for the whole to exist. Loving is not only healing, it is the Tao itself. End of description of Table 7. Another extremely useful approach in psychotherapy and group development of Tai Kung or Tai Chi Chuan is the use of internal medicine. Burgos, 2006. With a small adaptation, the author treats the 3 Tantian as chakras. With this approximation of Buddhist vision of the Taoist vision, we complement the first with a useful aspect, being the 3 chakras actually the 3 Tantian, and with each of them related to one of the 3 treasures. They also correlate in the same way as the 5 elements. That's why the pathologies described by Burgos affect the individual, that is, the person suffering from emptying 22 of the Chi in the middle Tanti then ends up developing aversion, which is the lack of empathy with human energy, and dies early, alone, and lives in conflict with everything and everyone. The person with Jing emptying in the lower Tanti then ends up dissatisfied, generating self-destructive and suicidal desires, precisely because it is not connected to pleasure and sexual energy. And finally, The emptying of Shan in the upper Tantian transforms people into confused seekers, into indifferent subjects who don't connect with emotions and dreams and live in the prison of the rational ego, eventually developing some evil in the system lymphatic endocrine. Many other questions that do not fit here confirm the conclusions and effectiveness of the internal medicine, which can still be expanded with the principles of traditional medicine, Chinese and Taoist internal alchemy in future studies. Below is a map of the three Tantian and your relational cycle. Figure 7. Cycles of the Tantians in internal medicine. Figure description: 3 circles, one yellow, another purple-violet, and another blue, with arrows that point from one to the other in the form of a circle. In each sphere, respectively, is written Middle Zong, Upper Shang and Inner Xia. Middle Zong, home of Qi, cosmic. Superior Shang, home of celestial Zen. Lower Xia, home of the earth June. From Middle Zong to Upper Shang we have the following description. Emptying of the upper Dajian subtracts the energy of the middle Dajian, causing diseases of a lymphatic endocrine system. From Upper Shang to Lower Xia. The description is explaining this one in explanation. Emptying of the lower Dajian subtracts energy from the upper Dajian, causing diseases in the nervous system. From Lower Xia to Middle Zong. Following the description for explanation. Emptying of the middle Dajian subtracts the energy of the lower Dajian, causing diseases of the cardiovascular and osteomuscular system. End of description of Figure 7. Page note 22. In the original work of internal medicine, the author theorized that people have a profile linked to aversion, attachment or indifference, and that is why they suffer and develop pathologies. What we propose here is that the person is not burdened with the energies of the Tantian and therefore not being whole. It develops the non-virtuous traits in the personality. End of page note. Finally, in addition to the fusion that we propose of the two currents of thought and practice here studied, Taoism and transpersonal psychology, some considerations are necessary. Personal. The pages that precede this final paragraph are the product of hard work of reading and a lot of reflection started at least a year ago, since the contact with medicine interior with a Buddhist's background, an extremely important study that was left on purpose to the end. I have no doubt that the transfer of knowledge from the Buddhist tradition to a theory and practice that could be seen as transpersonal therapy was the final inspiration for the generation of the work that we conclude here, even if temporarily, since the theme is rich and will certainly have ramifications. The fact is that each reading and each practice, each observation of the external nature and the internal nature led me to the perception that the entire universe, or rather, that the wholeness is governed by the law of 5 movements, and understanding it will allow us to move forward from indescribable way in the precision of our therapeutic action, our educational approach, and of cultivating our health on all levels. I realized that, as well as to cure the malignate, we need love at all times. Not of love as a dependence on others, but a love that is translated as acceptance of myself as I am, of others as they are and as they are, of life as it presents itself with its ups and downs, and of the eternal flow which is neither good nor bad, light nor dark, but all things in infinite transmutation necessary for the whole to exist. Loving is not only healing, it is the Tao itself. Audio recorded by Sybil Baylor on January 9, 2023. For educational sharing. References: Beck, Don Edward, Cowan, Christopher C. The Spiral Dynamic, Mastering Values Leadership and Change. Lisbon, Piaget Institute, 2000. DLOFDLD, John. Taoism, The Path to Immortality. Thought, 1986. BLOISC, Paulo V. The Tao and Psychology. Sao Paulo, Angra, 2000. Brito, Heliamdream D. Fusion of the Five Elements Instructor's Course Manual. Amonte, Interteo, 2014. Burgos, Zinio. Inner Medicine, The Medicine of the Heart and Mind. Porto Alegre, Bodigonia, 2006. Campbell, J. The Masks of God, Oriental Mythology. Sao Paulo, Paulus Athena, 2008. Church, Wu Yi. Taoist Meditation. Rio de Janeiro, Smallwood X 2008. Underscore 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 underscore. I give in essence. Rio de Janeiro, Smallwood X 2006. Underscore 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 underscore. I Ching, The Alchemy of Numbers. Rio de Janeiro, Smallwood X 2001. Underscore 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 underscore. Initiation to Taoism V1 and 2. Rio de Janeiro, Smallwood X 2000. Underscore 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 underscore. Tai Kai Chuan, The Alchemy of Movement. Rio de Janeiro, Smallwood X 1998. Chia, Mantak. Taoist Methods for Transforming Stress into Vitality. The Inner Smile. The Six Healing Sounds. They are Paul Cultrix, 2008. Underscore 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 underscore. Kaini I Sang, Massage of Organs, Internal Organs with Kai Energy. Sao Paulo, Cultrix, 2004. Underscore 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 underscore. Cosmic Healing I, Cosmic Kaikun. Sao Paulo, Cultrix, 2003. Underscore 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 underscore. Healing energy through the Tao. The secret of circulating our inner power. Sao Paulo, Thought, 1989. Chia, Mantak, Juan, Tao. Door to All Wonders. An application of the Tao Te King. Sao Paulo, Cultrix, 2004. Chia, Mantak, Wake, William U. Cosmic Astrology. An East-West Guide to Your Internal Energy Persona. Toronto, Destiny Books, 2012. 572 p. Cleary, Thomas. Taoist Meditation, Methods for Cultivating Health of Mind and Body. Sao Paulo, Publisher Theosophical, 2000. Colegrabe, Suki. Uniting Heaven and Earth, a Jungian and Taoist study of masculine and feminine principles in human consciousness. Sao Paulo, Cultrix, 1992. Cooper, Jean C. An Illustrated Introduction to Taoism, The Wisdom of Sages. Bloomington, World Wisdom, 2010. Coward, Harold. Taoism and Jung, Synchronicity and the Self. Philosophy East and West, University of Hawaii Press, October 1996. v. 46. Number 4. Page 477495. Crawford, E. A. Kennedy, Teresa. Chinese Astrology and the Five Elements. Porto Alegre, Querl, 1995. D'Ambrosio, Huberton. Transdisciplinarity. Sao Paulo, Paulus Athena, 1997. Excerpt, H. M. The Tao of Healing, the Five-Element Theory Applied to Qigong, Tai Chi, Acupuncture, and Feng Shui. Sao Paulo, Ground, 2011. FROSI, Tiago Oviedo, Giozidi, Mauro Lewis. Integrative Body Practices and Emotional Health. Didactic Magazine Systemic. Rio Grande, FURG, 2011. V13, Number 1. P.7692.34 Goswami, Bama. Creative Evolution of Species, a New Science Response to the Limitations of the Theory of Darwin. Sao Paulo, All Left, 2009. Gozo, Shida. Aikido Shigayo, Harmony in Confrontation. Sao Paulo, Pensamento, 2010. 189 p. Grof. Stanislav. Holotropic Breathwork, a New Approach to Self-Exploration and Therapy. Rio de Janeiro, Newman, 2011. Grof. Stanislav. Psychology of the Future, Lessons from Modern Consciousness Research. Niederoy, Reeses, 2000. Heath, Richard. Sacred Number and the Origins of Civilization, The Unfolding of History Through the Mystery of Number. Vermont, Inner Traditions, 2007. Huangdi, Kexing. Infuging, Treatise on Occult Union. Rio de Janeiro, Smallwood X, 2008. Carl Gustav, Wilhelm, Richard. The Secret of the Golden Flower. Petropolis, Voices, 2012. Carl Gustav. Memories, Dreams and Reflections. Rio de Janeiro, New Frontier, 1986. KICI, Minami, SHAMON, Sito on Myog. Japanese Horoscope. Sao Paulo, IBRASA, 2007. Liu, Da. Tai Chi Chuan and Meditation. Sao Paulo, Thought, 1990. Lao Tse. Tao Te Ching, The Book of the Way and the Virtuous. Rio de Janeiro, Smallwood X, 2011. The Maciocia, Giovanni. The Fundamentals of Chinese Medicine, a comprehensive text for acupuncturists and herbalists. Sao Paulo, Roca, 2007. 1000 p. Maslow, Abraham. Motivation and Personality. New York, Harper and Row, 1970. Moore, Robert. Gillette, Douglas. King, Warrior, Mage and Lover. Rediscovering the Archetypes of Masculine. Rio de Janeiro, Campus, 1993. Palmer, Martin. Elements of Taoism. Sao Paulo, Edia Rose. 1993. Piaget, Jean. Intellectual Evolution from Adolescence to Adulthood. Translation of the original. Intellectual Evolution from Adolescence to Adulthood. Human Development. 15. 1-12. 1972. Piozzidia, Mauro Lewis. Seeking the Wholeness of Being. Propositions for the Sustainable Development of Human Consciousness. Porto Alegre, Genesis, 2007. Piozzidia, Mauro Lewis. Search for the Wholeness of the Being. Imagery Formulations for a Transdisciplinary Approach and Holistic Health and Education. 2003. 1v. Thesis Doctorate Course in Education, Graduate Program in Education, Federal University of Rio Grande do Sul, Porto Alegre, 2003. Sams, Jamie. The Sacred Path Cards. The Discovery of Being Through the Teachings of North American Indians. Rio de Janeiro, Morocco, 1993. 355 p. Schumacher, M. Japanese Buddhist Statuary. Gods, Goddesses, Shinto Kami, Creatures and Demons. 1995. Available from Access, March 29, 2010. Sharp, Damien. What is Chinese Astrology? Sao Paulo, Novi Era, 2003. Souza, Niardi. Psychotherapy and Taoism. Sao Paulo, Summits Editorial, 2007. Stevenson, Ian. Reincarnation, 20 Cases. Sao Paulo, Life and Consciousness Study Center Editora, 2010. 509 p. Teixeira, Cicero. Education of Pregnant Parents, a Possible Pedagogy According to Spiritism. How to Know Emerging and Integral Education of the Human Being, 2009. 1v. Thesis Doctoral Course in Education, Graduate Program in Education, Federal University of Rio Grande do Sul, Porto Alegre, 2009. Wilbert, Ken. Eden, Fall or Rise. The Transpersonal View of Human Evolution. Campinas, Virus, 2010.35_______________________________________________________________________________________________________Transformations of Consciousness, The Spectrum of Human Development. Sao Paulo, Cultrix, 2009. A Brief History of the Universe, From Buddha to Freud, Religion and Psychology United for the First Time. Rio de Janeiro, Editora Novi Era, 2006. 390 p. Underscore 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 underscore. The Spectrum of Consciousness. Sao Paulo, Cultrix, 1995. Wilson, Peter. Train of Stars, The Initiatory Dream in Sufism and Taoism. Sao Paulo, Conrad, 2004. 1. Eve. The Right Method of Cultivating and Maintaining Life Energy. Translation of the Chinese classic Wei Mingli Hua Yangqing. Sao Paulo, Cultrix, 1999.